Your first hour awake is setting the clock on how fast you age. Not metaphorically, chemically. In a 2018 study out of the University of Colorado Boulder, researchers tracking 1,848 adults found that what happens in your body during the first 60 minutes after your eyes open changes your cortisol pattern, your blood sugar, and your inflammation levels for the entire day. And after 50, that first hour matters more than it ever did before. Miss it, and your cells age faster. Get it right, and you slow the whole machine down. Here is what almost everyone believes. Aging is about years. It is about the number on your birthday card, the gray in your hair, the wrinkles you can count in the mirror. You think of aging as a slow, steady march, one day at a time. Nothing you do in any single hour could possibly matter across decades. That belief is wrong, and the science that proves it wrong is newer than most people realize. Your body does not age at a constant speed. It ages in bursts. A landmark study published in the journal Nature Medicine in 2019, led by Dr. Michael Snyder at Stanford, tracked biological markers in more than 100 people over several years. What they found stunned the research community. Aging is not linear. It happens in accelerated waves, and those waves are driven by daily biological rhythms, the exact rhythms that get set the moment you wake up. Your morning is not a small thing. Your morning is a switch. But the real question is why your body does this. Why would the first hour after waking carry so much weight? The answer involves a hormone most people have heard of but almost nobody understands, and a signal from your eyes that your doctor has probably never mentioned in a single appointment. This is where it gets interesting. Let me tell you what is happening inside you right now, in the minutes after you wake. The moment your eyes open, a small structure deep in your brain fires up. It sits just above where your optic nerves cross, and it is roughly the size of a grain of rice. Scientists call it the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Forget the name. Think of it as the master clock. This clock does not run on hours the way your kitchen clock does. It runs on light. Specifically, it runs on the light that hits the back of your eyes in the first hour of your day. Here is the analogy that makes it clear. Imagine an orchestra with 37 trillion musicians. Every single cell in your body is a musician, and every one of them keeps its own little clock. Left alone, they drift out of time. One cell plays too fast, another too slow, and the music turns into noise. That noise, at the cellular level, is what accelerated aging actually looks like. Your master clock is the conductor, and the conductor only picks up the baton when morning light hits your eyes. No light, no downbeat. The orchestra plays out of sync all day long. When you were 25, this system was forgiving. Your master clock was strong. Your cells fell into rhythm easily, even if you slept in, even if you kept the blinds closed. But something changes after 50. Research from Harvard Medical School has shown that the master clock weakens with age. The signal it sends gets fainter. Your cells become harder of hearing. And that means the morning light signal, the one you might be blocking without knowing it, becomes far more important than it was in your younger years. This is not a small effect. A 2022 study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology followed adults over 50 and measured their cortisol response in the morning. Cortisol is your body's wake-up hormone. Think of it as the ignition in a car. When you turn the key in the morning, cortisol should spike sharply within the first 30 to 45 minutes of waking. That spike is called the cortisol awakening response, and it is one of the most reliable markers of a healthy, well-timed body clock. A strong, clean spike in the morning means your body knows what time it is. A flat, sluggish spike means your internal clock is confused. And a confused clock, day after day, drives up inflammation, raises blood sugar, and speeds the biological aging of your tissues. Now here is why your first hour is doing something to you that you cannot feel. When you wake up and immediately reach for your phone in a dark room, when you stay under the covers with the curtains drawn, when the first light your eyes see is the artificial glow of a screen 6 inches from your face, you are sending your master clock the wrong message. That dim indoor light, and even the blue light of a phone, does not carry enough of the right signal to properly start your clock. Indoor lighting is often around 100 to 300 lux. Morning daylight, even on a cloudy day, is 10,000 lux or more. Your eyes need the real thing, and when they do not get it, your cortisol spike arrives late, weak, and disorganized. Depending on who you ask, some researchers put even more emphasis on this than the general public realizes. Dr. Sachin Panda at the Salk Institute has spent his career studying these daily rhythms, and his work suggests that the timing of light, food, and movement in the early part of your day sets the tempo for nearly every organ you have. Not just your brain, your liver, your pancreas, your gut. Each one has its own clock, and each one waits for the signal from the top. But this is only half the story. What happens at the cellular level, once that morning signal is missed, is even more disturbing. Let me take you deeper. Because the morning light is the trigger, but the damage happens in a place you have never thought about. Inside the power plants of your cells. Every cell in your body is packed with tiny structures called mitochondria. Most people learned the word in a school biology class and forgot it the same afternoon. Here is what matters. Mitochondria are the engines. They take the food you eat and the oxygen you breathe, and they turn it into energy. A single heart muscle cell can hold up to 5,000 of them. When your mitochondria run clean and on schedule, you feel energetic, your mind is sharp, and your tissues repair themselves. When they run poorly, you feel that deep, bone-level fatigue that no amount of coffee seems to fix. And here is the part nobody mentions. Your mitochondria are on a clock too. They ramp up and wind down on a daily schedule that is tied directly to your master clock. In the morning, when the system is working correctly, your mitochondria receive a signal to burn fuel efficiently and to clean house. That cleaning process has a name: mitophagy. Think of it as the cell taking out the trash. Every day, your cells identify the broken, worn-out mitochondria and dismantle them for parts, making room for fresh ones. This is one of the most important anti-aging processes in your entire body, and it is scheduled. It runs on rhythm. Now, what happens after 50 when the morning signal is weak? The trash does not get taken out on time. Broken mitochondria pile up inside your cells, and broken mitochondria do something dangerous. They leak. They release unstable molecules called free radicals, which damage the DNA and proteins around them. Scientists call this oxidative stress. Picture a factory where the machines are old and sparking, throwing off hot fragments of metal in every direction. That is what a cell full of unrepaired mitochondria looks like. And that spray of damage, accumulating quietly year after year, is one of the core mechanisms of aging itself. The research is still evolving on this, but a growing body of work, including studies from the National Institute on Aging, connects disrupted daily rhythms to faster mitochondrial decline. When your clock is off, your cellular cleanup is off. When your cellular cleanup is off, damage accumulates. And when damage accumulates, you age faster than the calendar says you should. If you have ever woken up already tired, already heavy, feeling like you did not sleep at all even after 7 hours in bed, this is often what is happening inside your body. It is not always about how long you slept. It is about whether your cells got the signal to reset. A body clock that is out of sync leaves you running on old dirty engines the whole day, no matter how many hours your head was on the pillow. If this is making sense, and you want the part that actually fixes it, the specific things to do in your first hour that reset this entire system, subscribe now. Because that section is coming in just a few minutes, and it is the reason I put this together in the first place. Let me connect the two pieces, because this is where the picture snaps into focus. Your morning light signal starts the master clock. The master clock tells your mitochondria when to clean house and when to make energy. Miss the signal, skip the cleanup, and the damage compounds. But none of this fully matters until you understand what your body is trying to do with blood sugar in those same early minutes, because that is where the aging accelerates fastest. In the first hour after you wake, your body performs a delicate act with blood sugar. Cortisol rises, which naturally pushes your blood sugar up to give you energy for the day. This is normal and healthy, when it is timed correctly. Your insulin sensitivity, meaning how well your cells respond to the signal to absorb sugar, is actually at its best in the morning for most people. Your body is primed to handle fuel efficiently right after waking, but that window depends entirely on your clock being properly set. When the clock is disrupted, this whole system gets thrown into reverse, and after 50, the margin for error is thinner than it has ever been. But this is where it gets strange, because what almost nobody talks about is the connection between your morning behavior and something called glycation. Stay with me, because the next 90 seconds will reframe how you think about aging entirely. Glycation is one of the most direct causes of visible and internal aging, and hardly anyone outside the research world discusses it. Here is what it is, in plain terms. When you have too much sugar circulating in your blood, that sugar physically sticks to the proteins in your body. It bonds to them, gums them up, and makes them stiff and dysfunctional. Scientists gave the resulting compounds a name so fitting it sounds invented: advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. Yes, the molecules that age you are literally abbreviated as AGEs. Picture caramelizing sugar in a hot pan. The way it turns brown, hardens, and gets sticky and rigid, that same basic chemistry is happening inside your body when blood sugar stays high. It happens to the collagen in your skin, which is why glycation shows up as sagging and wrinkles. But far more importantly, it happens to the proteins in your arteries, your kidneys, your eyes, and your joints. Stiff arteries, cloudy lenses, aching joints, the internal fingerprints of aging, driven in large part by this one sticky process. Now bring it back to your morning. When your body clock is disrupted, and your cortisol response is a disorganized mess, your blood sugar control suffers all day long. A study from Northwestern University found that people with misaligned circadian rhythms had measurably worse glucose regulation, edging them toward the exact conditions that fuel glycation. Your confused morning becomes a full day of higher blood sugar. A full day of higher blood sugar becomes more sticky, stiffening damage to your proteins. And that damage is, quite literally, aging you from the inside out. Read that again. The way you spend your first hour is influencing whether sugar is caramelizing onto the proteins that hold your body together. Your morning is not just a routine, it is a chemistry experiment, and you are the one setting the temperature. Some scientists dispute exactly how much of daily glycation traces back to circadian timing versus diet alone, and that debate is genuine and ongoing. But almost no one disputes the core chain, that a disrupted clock worsens blood sugar control, and worse blood sugar control means more glycation. The mechanism holds even where the exact percentages are still argued. So the question becomes this: if your body has this beautiful built-in system, a master clock that resets your energy, cleans your cells, and controls your blood sugar, how do you actually switch it on correctly every single morning? How do you take your first hour and turn it from a source of aging into a tool that slows it down? Here is the protocol. It is specific, it costs nothing, and Dr. Sachin Panda's research at the Salk Institute has been pointing toward these exact principles for years. First, within the first 30 minutes of waking, get your eyes into real outdoor light. Not through a window. Glass filters out much of the signal your clock needs. Step outside. Stand on your porch, in your yard, or take a short walk. You need 10 to 15 minutes on a bright day, and 20 to 30 minutes on an overcast one. You do not stare at the sun, never do that. You simply let the bright ambient daylight reach your eyes. This is the single most powerful lever you have. It delivers the 10,000 lux plus signal that snaps your master clock to attention, sharpens your cortisol spike, and tells all 37 trillion of your cellular musicians to start playing in time. Second, move your body gently in that first hour. A walk is ideal. Even 5 to 10 minutes of easy movement does two things at once. It reinforces the wake signal to your clock, and it prompts your muscles to pull sugar out of your blood, blunting that morning glucose rise before it can do damage. Your muscles are the largest sugar sponge you own. Wake them up early. Third, delay your first big rush of sugar. This does not mean skip breakfast if you enjoy it. It means, in that first hour, do not start with a donut, a sugary cereal, or a tall glass of juice. Those flood your bloodstream with sugar at the exact moment you want your system stabilizing. If you eat, lean toward protein and fat first: eggs, plain yogurt, nuts. Protein in the morning also supports steadier energy and helps preserve the muscle that becomes so precious after 50. Fourth, get your light before your screen. If the first thing your eyes see is a phone in a dim room, you are feeding your clock a counterfeit signal. Reverse the order. Light first. Screen second. This one change costs you nothing and rewires the entire start of your day. If even one of these steps was new to you, hit the like button. It is a small thing, but it tells the algorithm to put this in front of more people over 50 who have never heard that their morning is aging them. That genuinely helps. Here is why this works so completely. Every one of these steps hits the same master switch from a different angle. Light sets the clock directly. Movement reinforces the clock and clears blood sugar. Delaying sugar protects your proteins from glycation. Screen discipline stops the false signals. Do all four, And you are not just having a nice morning, you are conducting the orchestra. You are scheduling your cellular cleanup, sharpening your hormones, and slowing the sticky chemistry that stiffens your body. And you are doing it in the one window, that first hour, when your aging body needs the instruction most. I'd bet most of you have felt the difference between a morning that started with sunlight and movement, and one that started in the dark with a phone, even if you never knew why those days felt so different. Now you know. It was your clock, either set or left to drift. Let me pull back for a moment, because there is something larger here worth sitting with. We spend so much of our lives believing that aging is something that happens to us, a force from outside, a sentence handed down by time. We wait for it, dread it, and assume there is nothing to be done but slow the surrender. But the science of the last decade tells a different story. Your body is not a clock winding down on its own. It is a clock that asks, every single morning, to be set. It is waiting for the light. It is waiting for the movement. It is waiting for you to tell it what time it is and that the day has truly begun. Most of us have been sleeping through that request for years. We wake into darkness, into screens, into hurried sugar, and we wonder why we feel older than the number on the calendar. It was never the number. It was the missed signal, repeated 10,000 mornings in a row. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, what was the one thing in this video you wish someone had told you 10 years ago? I read them, and your answer might be exactly what another person needs to see. Here is the truth to carry with you. Your body is not aging on a schedule you cannot touch. It is aging on a schedule you help write, and the pen is in your hand the moment your eyes open. You do not lose your rhythm to time. You lose it to darkness. Share this with someone you love who deserves more good mornings ahead. And if you have not subscribed yet, you should. What I have been researching for next week is something I have wanted to explain for a very long time. Your clock is waiting. All it has ever needed was the light.